Right. Hi, all. Shall we start? Guys, we talk about an intro about the business plan. Why do we prepare that stuff like that? And then we came to the very first plan of the marketing plan, right? So where we decide on what we're gonna sell, our prices, stuff like that. And then according to the marketing plan, we'll be preparing the operations plan because in the marketing plan, it will give us an idea about our expected sales. So what we are trying to produce in terms of the quantity. So in order to match that, that's why there's a flow. Now, for example, you cannot first come up with the HR plan. First, it has to be the marketing plan. Then you come to the operations plan or the production plan. And based on the production, you need to have the resources, especially the human resource part. So then you need to have the HR plan. So then you have marketing, operations, and HR. And for all these, you need funds to operate and to start off the business where you come up with the financial plan. Right now, the preparation of business plan day 2 will be focusing on how to prepare the operations plan or a production plan. This is basically a revision of, I would say, your operations management lesson, which was the lesson number 13. Okay? Well, as you see in the background as well, like this, that's the operations management tune that I gave you. So it will give you a proper, recap on what we have discussed. So let's see how you prepare. Now look at the topic here, guys. I'll be sending you the tune. So there's on the way. That will be a fully printed tune, so you can go through. No issue, but today you need to, listen well. You don't have to write anything, right? Unless otherwise I state. Just, get that idea because anyway, we'll be doing a past paper session of this lesson as well to get an idea because some students think like this is a very difficult lesson. There's a kind of high content is there. But you will get to know the types of questions which will be tested from this area once we're done with the past paper discussion. Well, now you can see the topic here. Look at the topic. Prepares the operation plan according to the marketing plan. So this is what I was stated, right? So you will be preparing your operational plan according to the marketing plan. So here we'll talk about what we mean by the operational plan and why we need to have a plan then, and the content. So what sort of a thing, that criteria that we need to include, and also the prepares operation plan using the given information, like a practical example, like what we did for a marketing plan. If you remember kind of a template that we discussed, so at the same manner, we'll be, preparing a operation plan as well. Correct. Now, if you come to this one, yes, if you just highlight this fact, okay, remember, you can see the section consisting of the details of the production. So what we know by the operation is all the production of a certain product, such as it could be the production procedures. You can see what sort of a production method that you can follow. So job production, is that batch production, flow production, things like that. And the quantity of the products and the production expenditure, because in order to produce, there will be a production cost or manufacturing cost for you, as well as maybe there are a couple of standards to be followed, could be ISO, could be SLS, and how do you locate the factory, stuff like that. So in the operation plan, these criteria will be included. So let me highlight that for you, right? So which is the production procedure, quantity of the products, production expenditure or the cost, and also if there's any standards to be followed, as well as how do you locate the factory, stuff like that. Can even add, inventory controls. It's all about the production. So all the activities related to production. You might remember from like stock controlling to the, even the technologies that we discussed, right? The production method, production layout. If you do remember those, the process layout, product layout, you have this fixed position, cellular, stuff like that. So everything related to the production. So when you come to the important, so here it describes you the important here, you can see ability to have a comparison about the future operations beforehand. Exactly. because now, for example, you maybe come up with a monthly wise breakdown. Now, for example, let's say for December, January, February, likewise. So then you can have it, for example, now it says in April, right? And March, April, you have a higher production quantity. So then you can plan ahead. So maybe that will be a good information for the HR as well. We have to plan and recruit more employees. So you have to see always because now when you come to this production planning, especially handling the materials, those stuff sometimes you cannot do overnight. So it takes time. So in that case, you need to have that idea beforehand. So I would say you can have some idea about the future operations beforehand. And ability to improve the quality of the product. Exactly. Because now if you're following a plan, obviously you'll be according to the track and then the product will be quality. Unless otherwise, if you are going out of a plan or maybe if you have to suddenly produce, there could be quality drops. Exactly. Now, even the exam also, that's what we plan, stuff like that, or the lessons. Now, what if we waited at the last moment to complete maybe 4 or 5 lessons? So in that manner, maybe we'll be accelerating, then we'll be get stressed, a lot of things to, study. So then obviously the quality will be dropped. So the same manner applicable to production as well. So when you plan smoothly everything, so then there will be quality because there's no rush at all. Everything will be, planned according to the, kind of pre-agreed deadline, stuff like that. And also ability to minimize the possible wastage and delay in the process, like I said, because you have a timeline, obviously, because plan is according to a time frame. There obviously has to be a time frame. So then you will be the whole process, you can maybe segregate into different timelines, different time targets. So in that case, obviously, there won't be much delays, right? So when there's a delays, obviously there'll be wastage because when you delay the process, maybe the higher rate that you have to produce, maybe now, for example, let's say that when you come to inventories, maybe inventory holding costs will be increased because you have to keep those inventories for a long period of time. So maybe you have to get the overtime work of the employees. So that will be again, because the relationship, I would say, especially with the time and cost, there are also a positive relationship. You can see when the time goes up, you can see the cost also increases. So if you keep delaying the stuff, obviously it will, cost a lot. And also you can avoid the possible wastages as well because you are according to the plan. And ability to determine the cost of the production unit beforehand. Yes, exactly, because that also really important because you'll be going with all the forecasted stuff, for example, forecasted production, and then all the cost estimations will be done, right? The production estimation. In that manner, for example, even for a construction industry, for an example, that maybe a client or a customer is asking about the total price tag. So then you should be able to provide that because you have that proper plan according with the structure, because otherwise just looking at I would say, or a architecture plan or a 3D design, or just looking at a picture or a video, you won't be able to, tell exact price tag. So how you can do this with a detailed plan to disclose what sort of a price tag will come at the end. So it's really important for all the stakeholders to make the decisions. And the components that should be included in the operational plan, exactly, yes, you need to have a fixed asset requirements. I would say for any business to operate, there will be fixed assets. So in terms of would be the machineries or the computers or the fixed assets type of things. If you are following accounting, what are those fixed assets that will be recording in a statement of financial position. So for that, you need to have requirement because you are start of a business, or you are in a position to expand your current business. Obviously, you need to have the fixed assets. And then you need to have the raw materials in your hand. So in that manner, whatever the production, because in the operation, mainly will be focusing on the production. So you need to have the raw material with you. So what sort of a requirements? Maybe that requirement that you can break down, maybe like monthly requirement, quarterly requirement, biannual requirement. So likewise, what sort of raw material that you need, and also the quantity as well. And then employee. Now here employee means all the factory employees, I would say. So the requirements of factory employees, the workers, operational managers, supervisors, so that you need to plan according to your whatever the production target that you have set up. And then manufacturing overheads, yes, exactly, not just the direct cost. If you remember the cost that we discussed, the direct and indirect. So we say the manufacturing overhead. So now, for example, if you think about the production of, so I always take this example, a production of marker pen, right? So raw materials would be ink, plastic, stuff like that. And the manufacturing overheads will be like the rent, electricity, right? All the security and maybe cleaning staff. So you cannot directly involve with the unit of production. So there will be a set of manufacturing overheads that you will be deciding. And the factory layout plan, exactly, guys, you should sorry about it, guys. So you remember this factory layout plan that we talk about, even that I just refresh your knowledge on that. So based on the product, right? If that's going to be a cellular layout or product layout or process or fixed position layout, so what sort of a based on the product you have to decide. And you should remember the fact that we have already discussed how do you select the factory layout. So you can refer to those areas, especially the nature of the production and the space availability you have to consider. And also the disposal of the wastage, exactly, yes, because there has to be a proper way, even otherwise that a lot of impact. Anyway, we have to consider about the environment that where we live. And also, if you do not have a proper disposal of wastage, that maybe if you're using some improper ways, that obviously there will be I would say bad mark for the company's reputation as well. If all the society get to know about those things, especially nowadays, you cannot like stay avoiding or hiding those stuff because of the development of the people's have the power of social media or anything that could happen. So that could have a negative impact to your reputation. So that manner, for example, the news or the headline says, so how this company dispose all the wastage. So that's what you need to have a proper plan for the disposal of the wastage. And the social and environment influence, obviously, and the total manufacturing cost and the unit cost you will be deciding. Yes, now how you take a total manufacturing cost, you have all the direct, indirect, so all the stuff that will be taking here. So to get the total manufacturing costs, that also you can come up with a monthly or a quarterly breakdown based on the management requirement. And also unit cost. Now, if you produce a marker pen, so how the unit cost for one marker pen, if I'm production of a mobile phone, so one price or a cost for a mobile phone that you need to decide. And the operational activities and expenditures prior to beginning of the business, exactly. Now, there are stuff like that. Now, for example, before starting the business, maybe you have to do some planning or production engineering, stuff like that. And also maybe if you have to get some license or to import goods or maybe imports or do the setup. So even to start off the business, maybe there are kind of infrastructure that you have to do. So maybe that you can focus on. Well, so production volume. So these are again, guys, what I was explaining here. You have the explanations one by one. What do you mean by production volume? The maximum number of units that can be obtained according to the inputs. So basically for a certain period, which is your production volume. So I would say production volume like monthly volume, partly volume likewise. So fixed asset requirements again explained with the fact that all the motor vehicles to the machineries to the buildings, all the stuff. And the raw materials, employee requirements, production overheads. So it explained in detail. And the factory layout, you can see the layout plan, the disposal of wastage. So all the stuff that I explained here, you have a note there, so you can refer. Well, I think you should remember this from the production, the operational management lesson that we conducted. The total production cost has been divided on to say the direct and the indirect cost. So indirect also known as the factory overheads cost. So here you can see the direct cost, we say in the direct material cost. Now, for example, that if I take this marker pen, guys, the direct material cost will be something that which is directly related to the production of the unit. So like I would say that the ink or the plastic. So then there are the direct labor costs, people who will be involved in the production of this one, basically the factory workers. And we have direct other costs, maybe like if I had to take a patent or something like that for each marker pen that I produce, or maybe each for the brand name that I use, for the all the shape or the design that I had to pay some sort of a thing, I'll be going with the direct other cost. And also indirect material cost, indirect labor cost, and indirect other cost as well that will be have to bear. So we'll see what sort of things that you can comes under that, right? So when the total production cost is divided by the number of units produced, you get the unit cost will be obtained. So whereas the total production cost divided by the number of units of business, for example, the total production cost in terms of the direct and indirect, I'll get the full number here. So then if I divided that manner, so where I'll be taking my total cost here, right? So then I'll be divided by the base on the number. Then I get the cost for one marker pen. So then I can decide on the price later. But maybe that's a good information for the marketing team as well. Now, operational activities and expenditure prior to the establishment of the business. Business එක establish කරන්න කලින්, yes, maybe a research එකක් කරන්න පුළුවන්, conducting a research, so prior to starting the business. And the cost incurred to the registration of the business, the cost incurred to obtain the capital, the cost incurred to obtain a required fixed asset. Then example like we did with the more printing business එක start කරනවා, business එක operate කරන්න කලින් කරන්න දේවල් ටිකක් තියෙනවා, maybe like conducting a research, the feasibility of, or maybe like the computer analysis, stuff like that. And also the registration part, or maybe if you have to take any special license, permits, stuff like that, you have to obtain. And also the cost incurred to obtaining capital, as well as whatever the fixed asset that you require, because without having the fixed asset, you won't be start the business. So you have to do some initial work prior to starting the business activities. So that is mentioned there. So guys, we do have such a operational plan. Let's see it. So we have this production volume. You can see here, first year, second year, and they are talking about the product, I would say. So you can say, let's say, what sort of product that we'll be producing. Say that, so your product is computing equipment, but you have to be very specific. So I would say in the production of keyboards. So for each and every product, you need to have a separate one. So you can come up with the production volume, the total volume there. So here what you can do is yearly wise breakdown. You can see the amount in units. So maybe the first year we are planning to produce 4,500 keyboards, right? And second year probably will be increased up to 6,000. And then here, finally, 8,500. So you can come up with this one. So basically what we required only for that 1 year will be usually prepared. So we don't prepare such a long-term plan when it comes to operation, because guys, you know, prices could be increased. There will be a lot of macro environmental factors could impact, but we're going to have like such a plan about our future, but the plan will be basically for the first year. And then you'll be come up with, so here you can come up with the total production volume for the first year, 4,500 units. Right. So this is the amount breakdown. Which is like yearly. And then guys, we'll be seeing what sort of materials or the labor requirements. So here you need to have the set of fixed assets here. So you can say what sort of fixed asset that you require to produce keyboards, right? I would say here you need to have like, right, some computers. What else, guys? You need to have some cutting machine, right? So all the fixed asset, you need to have maybe like some office furniture, You need to have some maybe like vehicles. So all the fixed asset requirement based on the nature of your product, you have to decide, right? You have to decide based on the product. So then you can come up with the amount in some quantity, for example, like 5 computers, 2 cutting machines. So office furniture also you can come up with a breakdown, like all the tables, chairs, stuff like. So that you can have a breakdown. So vehicles, 3 vehicles, like first the expected unit price. Maybe you can search on the internet and maybe get a price quotation. So that you can include the unit price as well. Then what sort of a material? So we'll be requiring a plastic, right? So you have to see the amount. So you can see like rubber maybe will be need. Maybe we'll require wires, right? So our product is a keyboard. Maybe we'll require some LED bulbs because there are a couple of bulbs. I'm just looking at my keyboard and see what sort of things that will be required. So like LED bulbs. Like a USB port, right? USB switch should be there, USB ports. Not actually the port, so because you'll be entering the port, but you'll have that USB cable, I would say. Yes, USB cables. Stuff like that, right? Standards. What else? Stickers. Yeah, so nuts. Yes, you'll be having some couple of nuts there, right? Stickers. Utilizing some space there as well. Stickers, stuff like that. Okay, what else, guys? You can also cooperate with me. What sort of things required to produce a keyboard? You have so many space there like this. Well, so maybe how you measure that in terms of kilograms or in terms of like liters, you can just mention there. So amount, right? So for example, that you require 10 kg, or like 10 liters, or like 10 meters, something like wires, or maybe just units. So you can have a unit price there. So always this column represents the unit price. Well, then you need to have these operational managers, obviously. Here you need to ensure the fact that you have like employee, the number of employees, right? So categories, maybe like employee categories are there. So you can see the number of factory employees required and their monthly salary. So if you are going with a monthly plan, you can just take it. If you are going for like annual plan, you have to multiply by 12 and get the annual figures. And also maybe you have to add some, if there's high inflation in the economy, you can also check those price index and you can do the adjustments. How do you gonna increase the cost? So then you have this factory layout plan there, which is whether you decide on a product layout or a process layout. Right, and if we decide on production flow or a fixed position, so probably I would say for a production of keyboard, guys, what do you think? What sort of a factory layout plan you can go with? Not obviously the product layout, process, right? Maybe process layout, not fixed position because you'll be using multiple keyboards at once. So yeah, I think you can go for like product or process layout. So in that manner. Yes. So then your plan for the disposal of the garbage because of waste management and state the action that I expect to be taken the garbage in the brief. You can see what sort of action that are required. Maybe that because you know that for some companies, right? Even some in countries in like Western countries, so even they export, they try to dispose of that to some third world countries. So that's what even that we receive such a garbage. So of like countries like Africa. So they try to do that to do stuff. So you have to see this sort of thing that how you're gonna do that. So maybe they have like costs. So you have to always consider the fact that what sort of accepted action that you're taking, maybe like for threading machine that you try to use, what sort of expected action for your all the disposal of garbage, right, that you going to decide. Or maybe like whether you try to do a recycling, maybe cost of recycling that you can take, right, your action. So you can just mention action as a recycling. So in that manner, expected cost, stuff like you have to mention there. And social and environmental influence. So state here the action that have been taken to minimize the unfavorable impact. Yeah. So you can see the action and expected cost because of the social influence. I would say maybe could be the social voice against the production. So maybe that how do you minimize those? So you can come up with this sort of actions, maybe like some advertisement that you can prepare, or maybe like social media marketing for that, whatever the expected cost. And the production cost plan. So this is where you have a detailed version of your cost plan. So expect a number of units because that will be taken from that manner, which we plan for like 4,500 units. Yes, for the first year. So if I'm going for like yearly plan here, you can say yes, for 1 year, 4,500. And then here all you have your direct cost. So under the direct cost, guys, will be having the direct material. So you can mention here because you already stated there what sort of a direct or the material that you require. Maybe you just classify those as direct and indirect there. You can take like ink, like plastic, stuff like that. So you can come up with the cost there. So direct labor cost because you decide on the employees. So for that you can come up with here. And the other direct costs like maybe like patent stuff like that or license fee. So altogether you take all the stuff and you get the total direct cost. Make it up, prime cost, prime cost. Right, prime cost. So you take all the stuff and then you have the overhead cost. Again, that is 3 parts: indirect materials, indirect labor, and indirect other cost. So indirect materials means like apart from the direct one, that maybe for the packaging, you need some cardboard, stuff like that, or like stickers. So indirect labor like supervisors or the production manager, right? Production manager, stuff like that. And the indirect other cost also you can mention. So altogether you come up with the total production cost. And then you here have your expected number of units. So you can just divide by there. You can get the unit cost for the production. So that will be the end result. For example, it says that in order to produce a 1 marker pen, now the cost is like 70 rupees. So based on that, you have to decide your pricing strategy. Right? So 70 rupees. And also here make it relevant 10% cost of the fixed asset as well. If I go for like depreciation, you can also add that depreciation as well, right? So usually, guys, when you come to this one, you don't get such a way of preparing such a detailed plan. But couple of questions will be asking, but some of the areas in that specially plan, right? So we'll quickly come to the HR plan. So HR is something that we discussed recently. Again, so HR plan and the importance of HR plan, the content, and there are a couple of examples. So we'll see this as well. Right now, you know what's the HR plan that we decide all the HR activities. You have to see that the future human resource requirement. That's what it says, the plan that is prepared by determine the future human resource requirement, including the estimation of cost of the relevant to them achieve the goal. Because you need to have a strategy of HR plan. So in that manner, in the future requirement, because it's the human resource is not something that you go market and get, right? Correct. So in that manner, you have to see that. So where you'll be preparing a plan. And a few reasons. So why we need to have a plan for the HR? So you have to forecast the future employer requirement and the cost. So each and every stage, the employer requirement. and ability to utilize the human resource more efficiently and productively, because there are no such a sudden recruitment. So everything is planned, and then you can get the best resources. Otherwise, if the requirement is urgent, you don't have such a time to explore much candidates. You'll be just, recruiting. So that's not going to work, maybe because they're not productive. An ability to prevent breakdowns of business activities due to pre-recognition of future HR, because sometimes the lack of the labor shortage, I would say, because you will have everything there. You'll be having all the materials, machineries, but the lack of labors, lack of workers. So in that manner, there will be breakdowns. So you have to hold the production for a while to get the required resources to run the operation. So, but if you have a HR plan, those things could be avoided, right? And ability to minimize the sudden recruitment, like I said, and sudden recruitment, there is a cost, as well as the chance of getting the right people is quite, less, I would say, because you are in a rush to get the people on board. And ability to recognize the training and development needs in advance. So training also, for some extent, especially like development, can you remember that we discussed the difference between training and development? So obviously the development is for long term, and also for the training. So training also that you are not in a position to do like overnight. So it takes some time to get familiar. They'll be doing errors, right? And then there's a correction plan. But for everything, you require to have a time period. So where you can do those in advance. Maybe you recruit it in advance and you provide the proper training. Then you, release them to the operations. And getting the opportunity to recruit a highly competent employees, yes, because that's what you are going for plan. Then you can hire the best out of those candidates. So that's what the HR plan is important. Well, now the details, guys. So details about the entrepreneurs, the partners, who are the owners, and their managerial skills, the basic posts and the responsibilities. If you remember this job specification, job design that we talk about, and organization chart also, because there has to be a hierarchy there. An annual expenditure of the human resource, all the wages, expenses, but not just wages. Even if you come to in a Sri Lankan context, you need to have this ETF, EPF contribution, and like insurance you have to provide. That will be total cost to the company, I would say, not just the net amount that you are paying, right? So you have to decide on those, and also the legal requirements as well, maybe like some labor laws applicable, maybe some minimum salaries that are there, you have to decide on. The details about the entrepreneurs and partners. Okay? So in this section, the personal details, names and the address of the entrepreneurs, partners should be included. The education, qualifications, experience, all the stuff that you can include there. So here I'm trying to go one by one. Here you see the content of the plan. So I would say the number one, details of the partners. And the basic posts and responsibilities. You can see the post function. You have the CEO, because now let's say this is quite a new organization that you're trying to establish. So you need to have a chief executive officer. So you write the function there and the responsibilities. Then you come up with the financial manager, HR manager. You come up with the all the heads of the division and all the posts regarding to the company and their responsibilities, the overall organization. The posts and the functions vary according to the nature of the organization, right? Yes. So you have to come up with that. And then I would say the third one, organization chart. Yes, if you remember that, vertical, horizontal, circular organizational chart. So this is how the post and the hierarchy, right? The interrelationship among the various sections of post and the organization. So how you have this structure. So you have to present that. So then only you have a proper, because from the management basic lesson that we discussed, the unity of command, chain of command, those stuff should be fulfilled. Otherwise, you do not know who will be, giving advisors, orders. You have to see that relationship. So how the post in line with according to all the stuff. And here fourth one, annual expenditure for human resources. So based on the post, you can decide. Now, for example, chief executive officer, let's say annual salary 12 million, right? So having a monthly salary of 1 million. So all the salary financial manager having a, let's say, 5 lakh salary. So that will be 6 million, right? So you always come with the annual salary there because you have to see the annual expenditure, right? So all the employees, you can come up with the annual, salaries. So where you take, but not only that, I would say, if there's any other benefit, maybe you get insurance, or maybe you have to provide accommodation, you have to provide foods, allowance, or uniform, that also included there. Not just the amount that you're paying, right? So it's all the costs that you are incur for your employees. Right. Well, so apart from this total managerial expenditure, organized should be included in this plan as well. So let's see, guys, how we can come up with the sharp plan there. So details about the entrepreneur's partners. So these are like your, I would say, founders, I would say, another word, founders. So you can say who are the partners, who are the entrepreneurs. So why we have mentioned as entrepreneurs? Because this is a person who try to establish a new business. So you can come up with like person A, B, C. And their address, their qualification, their profile, you can add there. And the managerial skills, so you can see the name of the manager, educational qualification, experience, and other skills, stuff like that. All the non-managerial employee skills, name of the employee, or the educational experience, other skills. The basic post, like I say, CEO to the managing director, to the head of finance, to the head of HR, you have all the posts and responsibilities and the functions and what sort of powers they have. So maybe like overall control in the organization, overall the power of handling all the financials, stuff like that. You can come up with that. And then you can prepare the organizer's chart. So here the CEO is there, and they're, based on the, I would say, span of control. So having general managers, 3 general managers, GM1, GM2, right, GM3. Even you can, right, when you come to that, you are using the geographical structure or a functional area, right? Or maybe you are kind of using the divisional areas or the functional, like general manager HR, general manager finance, general manager marketing, right? And that is totally depend on the organization, how they try to plan. Or maybe like initially, guys, for you to tell you the fact that, so when a startup that you don't very rarely see this kind of a formal structure. So they try to build the formal structure later. Business එකක් තාම කිසිම එකම සේල් එකක්වත් කරන්න නැතුව මෙහෙම ලොකු ස්ට්‍රක්චර්ස් හදනවාට ගොඩක් ලාට මේක වෙන්නේ ලොකු කම්පැනි එකක්ම තවත් ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ කම්පැනි එක ස්ටැබ්ලිෂ් කරොත් එහෙම නැත්නම් මේ ස්ටාර්ට්අප් එකෙන්ම යන බිස්නස් එකක් මෙහෙම දෙයක් කරනවා අඩුයි. දැන් එක්සැම්පල් එකක් හිතන්නකෝ Facebook කම්පැනි තවත් ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ මොනාරි කම්පැනියක් ඕගනයිස් කරන අපි දමු ජොන් කීල්ස් තව මොනාරි ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ අලුත් කම්පැනි ස්ටැබ්ලිෂ් කරොත් මේ process එක යන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම නැත්නම් මේ මුල ඉඳලා බිස්නස් එකක් ස්ටාර්ට් කරන කෙනෙක් I don't think that come up with such a plan, but at the long term they'll be come up with such a thing. So this is basically kind of a I would say large scale business, that how you operate the very first time, right? So another section that they're trying to improve. So estimation annual expenditure, you got to see all the managers there, right? So then based on that, the monthly salary, annual, monthly, annual, likewise. So here you have the board of managers, or the, I would say, the management board, and the non-managerial employees, and then the administrative expenses as well. So all together you take annual cost, right? That's what I was talking about, not just the amount that you pay here. Yes, even the insurance premium, even the stationery related to those stuff you have to mention. So then you can take the total employee cost there. Well, so yeah, so that's about it when you come to this part. So I'll come to this final financial plan as well. So then we can see a set of questions as well, how they have come up with, so for you to get an idea. Now, we just check I'll give you the yearly past papers, but just to give you some idea, let's see 2020 paper. Right. So probably yes, lesson number 8. Here, imports of finance plan, which now we are going to study just for 2 marks. Describe how the 4 reasons how to how an estimated cash flow is important. Write 2 ways of increasing working capital, stuff like that. Even if you check 2019. Here, explain the basic elements that should be included in the marketing plan that we discussed. Right, the product that you're trying to sell. Right, 4 factors should be considered in a competitive analysis that will come to later. Likewise, even if you check the MCQ part, probably the 13th MCQ, most of the cases, the summary prepared for business plan is the executive summary. So likewise, most of the cases, this 30th section. Right, anyway, we'll do a discussion, but I just want to show you what are the structure, what type of question they're gonna check. Right. Now you prepared your marketing plan. Right. So based on the marketing plan, you prepared your operations, then you came to your HR, and then here financial. So the section in which all estimated financial information of the business. So the importance of preparing a financial plan. So determine and obtain the amounts of fund required for business level. Exactly, because you need to have an idea. Because if you are the investor, if you are a person who try to invest, or maybe if you are a person who try to find the funds or the money from the outside, you have to, if you need to check the starting cost, right? So that you need to be there. And to make investment decision on the funds available in the business. Yeah, so you know investment decisions. So how you invest there. So you have 2 decisions basically. How you invest the funds and how do you acquire the things, right? And to identify the periods when financial shortcomings may arise. So maybe like monthly cash requirement that you try to prepare. So in that manner you can decide. Okay, so we have like, you know, there's a requirement of all money, let's say like 1 million, but at the moment it shows like 500,000 is there. So in that manner, you have a shortcoming and you can see the possible future solution. So how we can, you know, fund, because if you remember this financial, it's all about how we acquire the funds and how you, I would say, utilize those. Correct? So then you can have a idea, because if you're going for like sudden loans, there will be high interest, right? So you have to decide on that. And to identify the periods when there can be excess funds in the business. Yes, it's the other way around. So you have maybe financial shortages, you have to find the funds, or maybe there could be a situation you have some excess funds. So there won't be any growth. You just keep with your business. You have to see what are the investment opportunities in the short term, right? So the following facts: estimated project cost will be there, which is the capital requirement, and estimated profit and loss, estimated cash flow, estimated balance sheet, loan repayment charge, right? Those are the content of the financial plan. So because you need to have the capital requirement, so basically to set up the business, and you have P&L and cash flow, which is cash in and out, and also balance sheet, statement of financial position, and also loan repayment chart. So let's see the estimated project costs. The cost that has to be borne for the project that is expected to be implemented, because we normally consider a new business as a new project that you're trying to implement. So here, the total project cost. So you can see the total cost for fixed assets because we initially decided. You remember that when you come to the operation plan, that we decide what sort of thing required. Now here we are not trying to, I would say, decide what we need, but how we require the funds for those. And primary operation expense that you need to develop the land, to get the license, like I said, business registration. So these are all about cost because you decided that on your operational plan. Now here you just try to decide how you can the cost, I would say. So total working capital. So working capital is your daily operations, guys. If you remember the calculation of working capital, you can say the fact that from your current assets that you can deduct your current liabilities. In that manner, you need to have an idea about the direct cost, overheads, administrative overhead, marketing overhead, stuff like that. So how you're gonna decide the total working capital? Because once you started business, then example like that, guys, once you started your business, let's say now you have to pay daily wages to employees. Now you're lacking of money to pay. So that will not gonna be work. Maybe you have to purchase the stuff. So maybe all the suppliers are provided, but you're unable to make the payments for those. So that's what you need to have a plan, short term and long term, for your day-to-day business, because you cannot wait for your employees. You cannot say like we'll be paying like 3 months time, right? Because employees need that wages to be paid. So that will be a set of daily expenses that you have to incur. That obviously you need to have those. So that's what you need to come up with such a plan for your working capital. An estimated P&L, right? The document containing the income, because you decided what you're trying to sell, you decide the cost, and the marketing department will give you the price. Based on that, you can come up with the expected income and also expected cost for the goods sold and also all the operational expenses. So you can see that. So sales revenue, because in the profit and loss statement, what sort of a content is available. So sales revenue will be there because you decide the production, you decide the selling, because in the marketing plan, then based on the pricing strategy, you can get the sales revenue, which is your selling price into expected sales volume, so you get the sales revenue. Then the cost of sales. So obviously you won't be having opening stock, but you'll be having purchasing, and there will be a closing stock, then you can deduct. So in that manner, you get the cost of sales and they come up with the gross profit and the operating profit. So the profit for the period you can take. So third one will be, guys, your estimated cash flow. You have to see cash in and out. So the very first month, what sort of sources? Maybe you have obtained a bank loan, maybe for the cash sales, or maybe the debtors are paid. So you have your cash in and also cash out as well. All right. So the cash flow statement can be total cash inflow and the cash outflow. So example for inflow, like I said, you can see here, right? Owner will be providing the capital. So that will be cash injection, right? Obtaining of loans, cash sales, income received from the debtors. So cash outflows example, guys. So this is the cash outflows, because we'll be purchasing non-current assets for that, or maybe raw materials like insurance, electricity. There will be set of cash payments. So we have to see monthly cash in and out, right? So then you get the idea. Maybe there will be a shortage where, let's say, month of February says cash shortage where you have more outflows. So then for that you can come up with an idea how you can face that. Yes, for the balance sheet, guys, it all about the assets, liabilities, and the equity. So you have your non-current assets, because in the fixed asset purchase, so we talk about the fixed asset purchase. So obviously you have your land, buildings, machineries, and the current assets, you have inventories, debtors, cash, bank money, and non-current, all the long-term obligations like bank loans. And you'll be having current obligations, current liabilities. So altogether, you come up with this financial statement position. And the loan repayment chart, obviously, you will get or obtain a loan. So, how it consists of the amount that you need to prepare. Now, for example, 5-year loan, 10-year loan. So along with the interest, you can come up with the maybe you will get a grace period sometime, right? A grace period is where it will give you like a 2 years, 3 years to start paying the loan. That with our business start කරපු ගමන් ඔයාලට cash outflow එකක් නැති නිසා maybe like business starter 3 years වලින් තමයි pay කරන්න start කරන්න ඕනේ. So things like that. So you have to see that. And the summary of the project. Well, so guys, as you can see one by one the project cost, you can see the item cash inflows, or owners නැත්නම් proprietors නැත්නම් founders කොච්චර amount එකක් දෙනවද කියන එක ඔයාලට ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ වගේම first year sale revenue එක කොච්චරක් එනවද? So that will be your cash inflow, right? So there are a lot of sources for cash outflow. Initial property එකට කොච්චරක් යනවද? Initial computers, machineries වල කොච්චරක් මේ ඔක්කොම cash outflow. Business එක cash එළියට යනවා. Fixed asset වල ගන්න වෙනවා. Right? Expenses prior to operation මම අර කිව්ව registration, license වගේ දේවල්. Total direct cost ඒක වල ගන්න පුළුවන් අපි හදුව estimation එකක්. කොතනින්ද ඔයාගේ operation plan එකේ production overhead එක operation plan එකකින් එනවා. Marketing overhead cost එක ගන්න පුළුවන් marketing එකේ. Administrative overhead, tax payments, income tax ඔය වගේ දේවල් ඔක්කොම cash outflow. year එකට මොනවද අපිට තියෙන inflow ඒත් එක්ක මෙතන තවත් ඔයාට initial bank loan එකක් වගේ හම්බ වෙනවා ඒකක් ගන්න පුළුවන් cash inflow. හැබැයි ගොඩක් chance එක අඩුයි bank loan එකක් හම්බ වෙන්න ඔයාගේ business එක අලුත් නම් ඒ නිසා ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ඕනගේ මුදල් සහ first year revenue එක තමයි ගන්න වෙන්නේ. So here all the cash payments, so you can come up with the total cash balance, right? There's some other balance එක plus නම් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. හැබැයි මෙතන ඉන්නේ expected balance එක minus නම් ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයාගේ cash out වැඩි cash in අඩුයි. ඒතර ඔයාලට ආපහු ඒකේ shortage එක බලන්න වෙනවා. අපි හිතමු 5 million gap එකක් එනවා නම් maybe another 5 million loan you have to apply in advance to sort out this. So you have to see that as well. So then you can come up with the estimated income statement. You can have the item, all the sales, maybe you can deduct the VAT, net sales revenue, right? Direct cost, gross profit, stuff like that. Depreciation. So somehow come up with your net profit there, right? Don't worry guys, you don't get these to prepare because this is just that give for you to get an idea, right? Well, so the estimated income statement also you can get your, I would say, so this should be estimated balance sheet. You have the fixed assets, current assets, so you have to see total liabilities, right? Total stuff there. Right, so here also evaluate the feasibility of the business idea according to the business plan. We'll quickly revise this here. The evaluation done using the information included in the financial statement. Prepare at the end of the financial, please know that. Yes. Now you are doing an evaluation of because why you will be having this estimated version end of the year. Then okay, business අපි දනවා January වල next year January. නෑ අපි તો May year එකේ January 2022 January වා business එක start කරා නම් ඔයා හදපු plan එක ඔයාලඟ තියනවා නේද? ඒ plan එකත් එක්ක දැන් end of the year අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම හදනවා වගේ. The true financial statement, which is the historical data. So in that one you can do an analysis. So how is your things? So in analyzing the financial reports, maybe the break-even point analysis. I think මේක අලුත් දෙයක් නෙමෙයි අපි කතා කරා break even එක where there's no profits or loss there. So because you need to identify the break even because break even එකෙන් පස්සේ තමයි ඔයාගේ net profit start වෙන්නේ. So not a new thing that we discussed. ඒ වගේම non financial reports උත් තියෙනවා. Not just always financials. Business එක මේ විදිහට expect කරා implement කරන්න පුළුවන්ද අපිට legal barriers ලැබෙයිද අපිට raw materials ගන්න පුළුවන් වේද ඒ වගේ ප්‍රශ්න අහන්න පුළුවන් legal conditions වගේ දේවල් you have to see that. again non financial පැත්තෙන් විතරයි අපි හැමතිස්සෙම මුදල් ගැන කතා කරනවා කොහොමද funds හොයාගන්න හැබැයි සමහර අපිට non financial barrier එකක් වෙන්නත් පුළුවන් right correct stuff like that මේක පාර මොනාරි ඒ project එක ban වෙන්න පුළුවන් ඒ දේවල් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. So it is important example eco friendliness as well. මේ issue එකක් නැහැ. එවන් වාට එන්න පුළුවන් corporate social responsibility එක CSR ඉතින් අලුත් දෙයක් නෙමෙයි. ආගේ lesson number 2 එකේ කතා කරා. ඒ ගැන ඔයාලට පොඩ්ඩක් මෙතන go through කරන්න පුළුවන්. right ඉතින් අපි චුට්ටක් ඉන්න executive summary එකටත් ඔයාලට මම පළවෙනි දාසම කිව්වා මොකක්ද මේ executive summary කියන්නේ මේ හැම plan එකේම summary එකක් දෙනවා ඔයාලට the section where the basic facts of a business plan are briefly stated. Executive summary. This is what present a summarized important a summary of your operation plan. A summary, maybe like 2-3 sentences. Maybe summary of your financial, summary of your HR, stuff like that will be prepared. So by the time the executive summary is finished reading by a person who refers to the business plan, the executive summary should success in creating the scenario about the business in his mind through the facts included. Because it will give a summary, because sometimes maybe the I would say these investors do not get much time to refer all the one, but just going through the executive summary should be very attractive, I would say. So here it says why you need to have an executive summary, because we about the entire business plan, guideline about the business plan, it builds up the confusion about the business plan. The details, name and address, the history of the business, vision, mission, goal, the goods that we manufacture, the market we operate, right? So you can see the total investment. Then we value hadana HR plan එකට hadana marketing plan එකට hadana operation plan එකේ summary key end එක, right? What you try to produce, how much you try to produce, and what will be your key market. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ ඔයාගේ අර hadana sub plans ඔක්කොගේම summary එකක් විදිහට තමයි executive summary එක හදන්නේ. You can see a explanation here. Name of the business, owners, address, vision, mission, total investments, good you produce, right? The total investment, you know, other financial planning. The goods service manufactured, you know, again, operations planning. Market you operate, you know, marketing planning. Stuff like that, right? Our financial planning, expected bank loans, right? So guys, that's about it. All the business plan, but what I'll do is start the past paper. So what I'll do is I'll share the soft copy, right? Soft copy ka mama share karanna, soft copy ka ekka full past papers ලොකු past papers නැහැ ප්‍රශ්න කීපයක් අහන්නේ especially මම focus කරනවා මොනවාද part 1 paper එක අහලා තියෙන දේවල් එක්ක කොහොමද අපි මේක complete කරන්නේ. එතකොට මම ඔයාලට Wednesday වෙද්දී මේකේ දාලා තියන්න past paper tip එක මම හිතන හෙට වගේ මම past paper tip දාලා so start working on then Wednesday අපිට මේක පුළුවන් lesson එක fully ඉවර කරන්න discussion එකත් එක්ක. Then we'll be starting back to our paper class. After the knowledge bank paper series taking up start karna, then full past papers. So guys, now today is November, so December, yeah. So end of December we'll be finishing off our classes. I won't be conducting any sessions in Jan. So because Jan 23rd, right, 23rd, which is Monday. Yes, January 23rd we'll be starting off. So then you have like 3, because you also have time, right? Amateur class, Dara classes time. So you have time for yourself to be focused and study. But you know, I'll be available if there's anything that you are required, any clarification. So end of December, like happy December maybe 3rd week, we'll finish off the classes. Yeah. So the plan is Wednesday we'll be discussing the past papers of this lesson, which is our final theory lesson. And then paper class 3 days per week until end of December. Like probably another 10-15 papers that we can discuss. Yeah, so that's about it. So today quite a bit early, but we'll see you with the Wednesday session with the past paper discussion. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining.